Stephen Romei is the Australian's film critic, and he's fresh from the cinema. He's just seen Jurassic World Rebirth.
Do we have to get a sample from an egg?
I suppose we could try and get it from the parent, but they're a flying carnivore the size of an F-16.
Jurassic World Rebirth is the seventh instalment in the franchise that started when Michael Crichton wrote the novel Jurassic Park in 1990. But you don't need to have seen any of the other films to get this one. Big Pharma wants to get blood from 3 massive dinosaurs because they think with that blood they'll be able to form a heart drug that will help humans live for a lot longer and make them trillions of dollars. So they hire a group of mercenaries led by the well-known mercenary Scarlett Johansson to go to equatorial waters where these dinosaurs are and get the blood. They choose the 3 dinosaurs, ferocious dinosaurs, to get the blood from because of their longevity. They live for 100 years. So do Galapagos tortoises. But where's the Hollywood film in Scarlett Johansson going and getting blood from a Galapagos tortoise?
And so presumably the arc of the Jurassic movies, even though we don't need to have seen the first 2 to enjoy this one, is that in the first one, dinosaurs were the baddies. Now humans are the baddies, and specifically humans who want to live a long life.
The arc of the series has reached the point where in the past couple of films, dinosaurs and humans are living together. In this most recent film, it's 3 decades since dinosaurs came back. The problem is they're boring now. The ticket-buying public just doesn't care about dinosaurs. They're old hat. The baddies and the goodies, it kind of mixes them up all the time. There's a moment in this film where one of the dinosaurs they're after, which isn't carnivorous, Titanosaurus, it's kind of almost a love scene between 2 Titanosauruses. And I'll just say that I found it I had to look away.
You like the teenage boy with the blanket over his head and can't handle the kissing scene?
Just about. If I needed to go, I would have taken a toilet break.
So I'm guessing you didn't love this film. You haven't given it 5 stars?
No, I've given it 3 stars. I mean, it is a visually spectacular film. Some of the scenes between the dinosaurs and the humans, particularly the mosasauruses, which are seaborn, kind of like just imagine a massive, massive, massive shark, are spectacular to look at. And it's kind of humorous. There's nice jokes. It's also, as an adult viewer, just funny seeing Scarlett Johansson as a mercenary. So I would describe it as a 3-star light entertainment. It does have an M rating though. So if you've got kids under the age of, say, 10, they might find it a bit scary. I would say kids in their mid-teens and beyond would find it funny.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then same as you.
2 movies that you've also quite enjoyed, which are big and are at the box office now, are F1 and 28 Years Later. I feel like we're in a bit of a teenage boy moment with cinema at the moment. We've got zombies, dinosaurs, racing cars. Let's talk about F1. Why did you like that? There's another big movie star in that one.
Brad Pitt, who is an old-fashioned movie star. People go to the cinema to look at him. Now, I didn't know this about Formula One drivers, but you have to be quite fit, which means as a filmmaker, you can get Brad Pitt to take his shirt off quite a lot, which he does. And there's a lot of humour in that. Some of the other characters, particularly the mother of his young teammate, when she sees Brad Pitt, she raises her eyebrows. You're right about the teenage boys and teenage girls, of course. Brad Pitt. They might be the future of blockbuster cinema, because if you can get teenagers to get off their phones and into a cinema, then those kind of films that are aimed to be blockbusters that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make should have a future. And there's a lot of ways that cinemas are helping to do that. Like for F1, for example, there are some cinemas where you can go and you sit in the seats and they move like you're in an F1 car, sort of. There are certain things you can get in the cinema that you cannot get on your iPhone, and that is what brings the young people in. But also they just go in to be with their friends, to share the experience, to eat the popcorn, etc., etc. So it's kind of a day out. I think these big exciting, action-packed blockbusters are the main lure for that age group.
Oh, it's a beautiful communal experience. It's like the modern church, isn't it? We all get to go and be together in the dark and enjoy something together, which is an onslaught on the senses. That's the other thing about cinema in the cinema. You can feel the sound as well as hearing it. You know, you are fully absorbed, even if you're not in those seats that rock and spray water at you.
Your eyes drop, they will get the top of you. Boom, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the wall.
Let's talk about 28 years later. So that's about zombies, and it's the third instalment in a series. Neither of those things are sounding good to me. Why did you like it?
28 years later is the third instalment in the series, and it is extraordinary in the way it is so different from the previous two. The director, Danny Boyle, and the screenwriter, Alex Garland, they said that this third film would be different, and they do not lie. Well, United Kingdom is in complete quarantine and NATO forces patrol the waters around it. That's where the infected people are. A small group of uninfected people are in a fortified camp. The really fascinating thing with this film is that it asks the question, a zombie and a non-zombie meets in the woods, who should die? Why does the non-zombie have the right to life and the zombie doesn't? Is the zombie entitled to self-defense? When I first saw the film, I thought, this is weird. There are these black and white flashbacks to things like the Crusades. So this is a film that completely flips the whole zombie genre to make it not about people running away from zombies and then putting spikes in their heads or whatever they need to do to kill them. It actually asks the question of, why shouldn't the zombies live too?
You wrote in a recent review that you don't like doing negative reviews, but when you really feel that something hasn't lived up to your expectations, you will go there. You went there with Spit, a follow-up to a much-loved Australian movie called Getting Square. Getting Square was a beautiful movie, and it came out in the era of Two Hands and Rabbit Proof Fence and Lantana. I can't think of an Australian movie that's moved me like that in the past decade. What's gone wrong in Australian cinema, if you agree?
It's an interesting question. I'm not sure if anything's gone wrong. I think the globalisation of cinema has changed the landscape for Australian filmmakers. You no longer have to make an Australian film in Australia with Australian actors. We're not a new thing anymore. The world has shrunk. And so for Australian films to be noticed overseas, perhaps they need to be about more than Australia. One thing about Australia that people never tire of, international people never tire of, and that's our dangerous animals.
I thought you were going to say Chris Hemsworth.
Well, who would tire of Chris Hemsworth? But there's a couple of recent Australian films that I really liked that have a focus on the dangerous animals, and one of them is called Dangerous Animals, starring Jai Courtney. In this film, the dangerous animals ostensibly are sharks, but let's just say there's one animal on this planet far more dangerous than sharks. And that animal might be Jai Courtney. Oops, sorry. But look, I think Australia has great filmmakers, fantastic cinematographers. I'm not sure whether we're in a lull or not, but I don't think there's great fear for the Australian film industry. I think we'll keep making good films.